Hey everybody, I'm Tim Mooney. I'm back with episode 2 of Shakespeare's Dirty Jokes. This time around, Act 1, Scene 2. As I mentioned last time, I'm premiering my latest one-man play, Breakneck Twelfth Night, at several festivals this summer, and all that work has put me in mind of just how many dirty jokes Shakespeare has snuck into this play, and of the possibilities that those same dirty jokes may open up for young, impressionable minds to develop a lifelong love of Shakespeare, looking past the difficult language to enjoy some of the good stuff that's hidden in plain sight. I go into this at greater length in my recent Twelfth Night Explainers, which covered the prologue that I've added at the beginning of Breakneck Twelfth Night, followed by Scene 1. But today, Scene 2. There's just the tiniest bit of salacious material in Scene 2, as being in the aftermath of a shipwreck and the loss of lives that go with that, it's probably the most serious in the play. I would skip this scene entirely, but you'll need some plot pieces to appreciate what comes next. Here we find our heroine, Viola, and the ship's captain, who have somehow saved themselves, washing up on shore in the aftermath of a shipwreck. We don't know how many people were lost on that ship, but one of them was Viola's twin brother, Sebastian. They have landed on the shore of the country of Illyria, which was then northeast of Italy across the Adriatic Sea, home to the noble Duke Orsino. Viola quickly acknowledges that she has heard her father named Duke Orsino, noting that the Duke was then a bachelor. I think it makes sense as part of Viola's backstory that her father, a nobleman from the country of Messalene, might well have mentioned Duke Orsino as a potential suitor, and that might make a little more sense of Viola's sudden interest. But arriving as a stray woman into an unfamiliar country would not have been without danger, and Viola makes a bold request that the captain help to disguise her as a man, in particular as a eunuch. A eunuch is a man who has suffered a castration. Assuming that the captain would need to find her male clothing and perhaps help to bind her breasts down tightly for the disguise, this might imply some overfamiliar awkwardness. Here's that scene as presented in my one-man rendition, Breakneck Twelfth Night, in which you'll quickly note I continue in this my narrator's voice, but now intermingled with actual character dialogue. Act 1, Scene 2, the seacoast. Enter Viola and a captain. Viola is obviously a female character, and as we know, female actors were not allowed on the Elizabethan stage. Since all of Shakespeare's plays had female roles, that means that every Shakespeare play featured performers in drag. And that was never more integral to the plot than in Twelfth Night, or what you will. What country, sir, is this? This is Illyria, lady. And what should I do in Illyria? My brother, he is in Elysium. Perchance he is not drowned. What think you, sir? It is perchance that you yourself were saved. Oh, my poor brother. And so perchance may he be, true madam, and to comfort you with chance, assure yourself, after our ship did split, I saw your brother most provident in peril, bind himself to a strong mast that lived upon the sea. Know thou this country? Ay, madam, well, for I was bred and born not 3 hours' travel from this very place. Who governs here? The noble Duke Orsino. Orsino? I have heard my father name him. He was a bachelor then, and so is now, or was till very late, for but a month ago 'twas fresh in murmur that he did seek the love of fair Olivia. What's she? A virtuous maid, the daughter of a count, who died some 12 months since, leaving her in the protection of her brother, who shortly also died, for whose dear love she hath abjured the company of men. Oh, that I served this lady, and might not be delivered to the world till I had made mine own occasion mellow. That were hard to compass, for she will admit no kind of suit, no, not the Duke's. I prithee, captain, conceal me what I am, and be my aid in this disguise. I'll serve this Duke. Thou shalt present me as a eunuch to him, for I can sing in his service. Be you his eunuch, and your mute I'll be. Without going into overmuch detail, a eunuch is a man who had a particularly high voice, making him very much in demand as a singer. And that's Act 1, Scene 2. As I said, this one is mostly setting the scene for the torrent of dirty jokes to follow. Shakespeare is just getting warmed up. You'll want to check back again for Scenes 3, 4, and more. Once again, I'm Tim Mooney with the Timothy Mooney Repertory Theater, and I bring these breakneck shows to schools and theaters around the United States. This is actually the 16th Shakespeare play that we've touched on breakneck style. You can also find our work online at breakneckshakespeare.com. See you on the stage.